With the CDC predicting tonight the death toll could top 180,000 by the end of August, the nation's top 3 health experts faced a congressional barrage today. The headline from Dr. Anthony Fauci, a viable vaccine is close.
There's never a guarantee that you're going to get a safe and effective vaccine. But from everything we've seen now in the animal data as well as the early human data, we feel cautiously optimistic that we will have a vaccine by the end of this year and as we go into 2021.
While 2 drug candidates started phase 3 trials in record time this week, Fauci insists safety is not being sacrificed.
That was not reckless rushing. That was technology and doing things in a way that does not compromise any of the steps.
Democrats pointed out Europe has managed to flatten its coronavirus curve much faster than the U.S., where cases are still exploding. 1,350 deaths in the U.S. on Thursday alone. Watching the congressional hearing, President Trump tweeted, "There are more cases because the U.S. tests more. If we had no testing or bad testing, we would show very few cases," he tweeted. Republican Congressman Jim Jordan of Ohio then interrogated Fauci about the risk posed by mass protests, even as some states have closed businesses and even churches.
So the protests don't increase the spread of the virus?
I didn't say that. You're putting words in my mouth.
No, I just want an answer to the question. Do the protests increase the spread of the virus?
I don't have any scientific evidence that anything. I can tell you that crowds are known, particularly when you don't have a mask, to increase the acquisition and transmission.
The president tweeting his approval of the confrontation. Great job by Jim Jordan, and also some very good statements by Tony Fauci. Big progress being made. Under Operation Warp Speed, the White House is paying drug companies billions of dollars to fast-track promising vaccine candidates. Today, the biggest announcement yet. The U.S. paying European drug makers Sanofi and GSK $2.1 billion for 100 million doses of an experimental vaccine. Human trials expected to begin in September. I talked to GSK's vaccine president in Brussels.
How quickly would you anticipate approval and rollout of the vaccine?
We think that our vaccine will be available in the first half of next year. That's when we're expecting approval.
Health experts say several vaccines will be needed to arrest the global pandemic.
All right, Tom joins me now. Tom, there's an update on testing, which has seen backlogs nationwide. What's the latest?
HHS now says 75% of test results are coming back within 5 days. That's an improvement, but not fast enough to isolate cases. Also, they are rushing these expedited rapid on-site test kits to every nursing home in the country. 1,000 went out just this week.
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here, and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.